Hushpuppi, the millionaire Instagram influencer, lived a life that most could only dream of. From humble beginnings in Lagos, Nigeria, he soared to become an international Instagram sensation, rubbing shoulders with the elite and basking in the spoils of his fortune. But behind the shimmering facade lay a complex web of deceit and criminal enterprise. While he boasted about his lavish lifestyle, the true source of his wealth remained shrouded in mystery. But what exactly was the work that Hushpuppi was involved in? It was a question he always evaded, maintaining a certain level of secrecy around his activities. How did a young man from humble beginnings in Lagos transform himself into a flamboyant figure of immense wealth? And how did his downfall come about through the seemingly innocuous platforms of Instagram and Snapchat? These are the intriguing aspects of Hushpuppi's story that we will delve into. Join us on this captivating journey as we piece together the rise and fall of Hushpuppi, exploring the intricate details, the undercover operations, and the relentless pursuit of justice that ultimately led to his conviction. But before we continue, we would like you guys to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and hit the notification bell icon so you don't miss out on any amazing and entertaining content. Ramon Olaronwa Abbas, or better known as Hushpuppi, had an upbringing that was far from glamorous. His father worked as a taxi driver, while his mother sold bread on the streets just to make ends meet. Growing up with very little, Ramon longed for a life filled with wealth and luxury. When he reached an age where he could take charge of his own destiny, Ramon started a small business by reselling thrifted designer clothes from the trunk of his car. This entrepreneurial venture marked his first step towards a future that would bring both fame and infamy. It was during the early 2000s that cyber cafes started popping up across Nigeria, attracting unemployed youth seeking entertainment and eventually opportunities to make money through online scams like check cashing and romance scams. These young men, utilizing free Yahoo email accounts, would engage in fraudulent activities and earn the moniker Yahoo Boys. They spent hours online, searching for vulnerable targets, and then dedicated days, weeks, or even months to swindling them out of their money. With limited options and a desire for success, Ramon embraced the world of cybercrime and quickly found himself achieving considerable success. However, the Nigerian security forces launched a relentless crackdown on cybercrime, employing brutal methods and often resorting to violence before asking any questions. Every young man with a smartphone became a prime target. Faced with this increasing pressure, Ramon, along with many other Yahoo boys, made the decision to flee to Malaysia in 2014. Malaysia provided a more sophisticated internet infrastructure and law enforcement that was somewhat more lenient towards potential cybercriminals. In Malaysia, Ramon sought to excel in his illicit activities, fueled by his determination and entrepreneurial spirit. His drive propelled him to the top of the game, and it was during this phase that he adopted the persona of Hushpuppi. Taking on the Instagram handle of Hushpuppi, Ramon used the platform to flaunt his newfound wealth and disseminate motivational messages about breaking free from poverty through hard work and perseverance. As his notoriety grew, so did his extravagant spending habits. Ramon spared no expense when it came to luxury watches, designer clothing, and extravagant cars. It was rare to find a post without a hashtag mentioning Gucci, Fendi, Versace, or Rolls-Royce. In his Instagram bio, he proudly proclaimed himself a billionaire Gucci master. Back in Nigeria, Ramon became a bona fide celebrity, enjoying his status of a highly influential figure. Designer brands couldn't resist the allure of associating themselves with his online persona, and they showered him with gifts ranging from sneakers to fully paid trips to luxurious destinations like the Ritz Paris as VIP guests of Louis Vuitton. Fendi even extended an invitation for him to dine with the elite of society. While Raymond shared every trip, meal, and shopping spree with his devoted followers, he conveniently avoided disclosing the true source of his extravagant lifestyle. When pressed for answers, he offered vague explanations about real estate investments that failed to convince anyone. However, one question lingered: how exactly was he amassing such immense wealth? While romance scams can yield substantial sums, usually ranging from thousands to six figures, it was evident that Ramon was taking in millions. And that brings us to a type of online fraud known as business email compromise, BEC. Like many others, Hushpuppi realized that the real money in the world of cybercrime didn't lie in scamming individuals, but rather in targeting multi-million-dollar companies. These BEC schemes are incredibly lucrative, accounting for over 40% of funds stolen through fraud and causing an annual loss of around $1.8 billion. Surprisingly, we don't often hear about these crimes in the news, primarily because they can be highly embarrassing for the affected companies. One of the most infamous scams that Hushpuppi orchestrated took place in 2019, when a New York law firm intended to send a payment of approximately $922,000 to a client who had refinanced a real estate property. A paralegal was tasked with verifying the payment details and unknowingly fell victim to interception. She received a fax instructing her to send the money to a different account. Thinking it was a legitimate request, she made a precautionary call to the number provided on the fax. To her surprise, the person who answered the call confirmed all the confidential information, leaving her convinced that the new account details were valid. Without hesitation, she sent the funds to the specific account. However, unbeknownst to her, the account belonged not to the genuine client, but to Hushpuppi himself. The individual she had spoken to was either one of his associates or even Hushpuppi masquerading as someone else. Within his elaborate web of criminal activity, Abbas was one of the most successful scammers in the realm of BEC. He had a vast network of connections, including a Canadian money launderer named Ghaleb Al-Amari. Al-Amari played a crucial role in transferring cash into Abbas' accounts and collaborated with him on some of their largest scams. Another particularly high-profile heist they attempted was targeting the Bank of Valletta in Malta. Communicating through Snapchat, specifically Abbas' Hushpuppi 5 account, the duo planned the distribution of a staggering 13 million euros. The scam itself was initiated by hackers who had breached the French stock exchange regulator. Assuming the identities of the regulators, they sent phishing emails to the unsuspecting employees of the Maltese bank. Once an employee fell victim to the scheme, the team gained access to the bank's secure payment system, enabling them to initiate undetected transfers totaling millions of euros. Abbas' specific role was to provide bank accounts capable of receiving substantial deposits without raising suspicion. These funds had to be swiftly laundered before they could be recalled. However, in this instance, their plan hit a snag. The team couldn't move the millions quickly enough, and the bank managed to recover most of the missing funds. When news of the failed heist reached the public, Al-Amari took a screenshot of the article and sent it to Abbas. His nonchalant response was simply, "Damn." Unfazed by the setback, Al-Amari mentioned their next operation, indicating it would be ready in a few weeks. Abbas coolly replied, "Too bad they caught on. It would have been a nice payout." True to his character, Abbas took to Instagram the following day, proudly showcasing his opulence. He posted a photo of himself dressed head to toe in Fendi attire, leaning against a $160,000 sports car, and captioned it, "Bought myself a new Bentley Bottega for Valentine's. The best way to celebrate the season of love." The audacity and brazen nature of Abbas's behavior were characteristic of a man fully immersed in his illicit activities. Unfortunately for Abbas, not everyone in his network shared the same laid-back attitude as him and Al-Amari. In another scam, he had partnered with a Kenyan entrepreneur named Abdul Rahman Imran Juma to deceive a Qatari business person out of a whopping $1.1 million. Juma, born in Nairobi, grew up amidst a family of Somali origin known for their involvement in brokerage and scheming activities. Even as he entered adolescence, Juma had already been immersed in the world of money laundering, assisting his uncles in the process of cleaning the proceeds from their shady deals. This early exposure not only provided him with substantial financial resources, but also allowed him to explore various opportunities and build connections with professionals in fields such as banking, information technology, and even law enforcement. While his peers were still experimenting with swapping SIM cards and engaging in minor criminal activities, Juma had already honed his expertise in utilizing sophisticated computer software to extract data from highly confidential financial transactions. He had mastered the art of cybercrime through various methods, one of which involved the strategic sending of spear phishing emails. This individual was seeking a loan of $15 million to fund a new school project in Qatar, but his local bank wasn't willing to lend such a large amount. So he hired a financial advisor who turned to Google for solutions and stumbled upon Juma's fraudulent website offering million-dollar loans. Working together, Juma and Abbas assumed false identities and spent months persuading the Qatari businessman that they could arrange the loan for a hefty fee. Whenever the victim grew concerned about the money not materializing, Abbas and Juma would intensify their demands, insisting on additional cash to ensure the loan's release. In a final ploy to deceive the businessman, they enlisted the help of Vincent Chibuzo to set up a bogus Wells Fargo website and an automated hotline. When the businessman called the hotline, he was informed that the promised $15 million had finally been deposited into his account, causing him great excitement. However, his elation quickly turned to disappointment when Abbas requested a $575,000 withholding tax to facilitate the transfer of funds from the United States. It was at this point that Chibuzo, feeling discontent with his share of the heist, decided to approach the client directly and expose the scam. Naturally, Abbas was more than displeased by Chibuzo's betrayal. Fuming with anger, he messaged a man named Abba Qatari, wanting Chibuzo to go through serious beating of his life. What made this message exchange intriguing was the fact that Qatari was not just anyone. He was Nigeria's highly regarded deputy police commissioner, known as Super Cop. He was hailed as an example of competence and integrity within a system that often faced criticism. Abbas's message had requested a beating for hire from Qatari. He even followed up with a plea saying, "Please, sir, I want to spend money to send this boy to jail. Let him go for a very long time." Shockingly, Qatari seemed more than willing to oblige Abbas's request. He responded with the details of a Nigerian bank account to which the money should be sent. When the funds arrived, Qatari promptly arrested Chibuzo and sent a photograph of him behind bars. This unexpected turn of events exposed the complex and intriguing dynamics within Abba's network of scammers, as well as the surprising involvement of a renowned law enforcement figure. But the irony of this case is that as a money launderer, Hushpuppi's job was to make illicit funds appear legitimate. However, he overlooked this crucial aspect in his own life. His insatiable desire for likes and the need to flaunt his newfound wealth on Instagram proved to be his downfall. Little did he know that among his 2.8 million followers were agents diligently working to bring him to justice. Not surprisingly, the FBI had grown suspicious of the legitimacy of Hushpuppi's fortune, but they didn't have a clear picture of his true identity. The federal officials meticulously detailed in the affidavit how Hushpuppi's social media accounts served as a goldmine of information to corroborate his identity. Notably, his Instagram account played a significant role. It contained essential account security details, such as an email address and phone number, which federal officials obtained and subsequently connected to financial transactions and transfers involving individuals believed to be his co-conspirators, according to the FBI. The affidavit stated the email account also contained emails with attachments relating to wire transfers and large dollar values. This finding further strengthened the case against Hushpuppi, as it provided concrete evidence of his involvement in financial activities with substantial monetary implications. Moreover, records from his Apple and Snapchat accounts contributed valuable information that aided investigators in confirming his identity, residential address, and communications with other suspects. The thorough examination of these digital footprints allowed law enforcement to establish a comprehensive understanding of Hushpuppi's network and the extent of its illicit activities. A particular social media post caught the attention of investigators, an image showcasing a birthday cake adorned with a prominent Fendi logo and a miniature representation of Abbas himself, surrounded by tiny shopping bags. This seemingly innocuous post played a crucial role in the investigation as it provided the means to verify his date of birth, which was previously submitted on a U.S. visa application. The details extracted from his post became an essential piece of evidence in building a case against him. It became evident that he was an exceedingly prolific money launderer, prompting the authorities to put him under surveillance in hopes of gathering substantial evidence for his arrest. He continued posting pictures of Fendi bags and luxurious hot tubs on Instagram, his only attempt at evasion being the change of his bio from billionaire Gucci master to real estate developer. Meanwhile, the FBI collaborated with authorities in the United Arab Emirates, where Abbas was residing, and launched extensive surveillance. Then, on June 8, 2020, while Abbas was peacefully sleeping, a Dubai SWAT team stormed into his apartment, promptly arresting him. They seized an astonishing array of items, including 47 phones, 21 laptops, luxury cars valued at $7 million, $40 million in cash, and a database of 2 million potential victims' email addresses. The Dubai authorities were so delighted with the successful operation that they even released a stylized film of the arrest titled Operation Fox Hunt 2. Subsequently, Abbas was flown to Chicago to stand trial, which took place in November 2022. He pleaded guilty to his crimes against the Qatari businessman, the Bank of Valletta in Malta, and several other victims, with a total amount exceeding $24 million. As a result, he was sentenced to 135 months in federal prison and ordered to pay over $1.7 million in restitution. Law enforcement officials described him as one of the most prolific money launderers in the world, while those who had doubted his legitimacy couldn't help but gloat. That's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.